Sam Thurgan, and welcome to my 5-minute parasha for Pikudei. What we're speaking about this week, as we have for several weeks in the Torah reading, is the construction of the Mishkan, the home for Hashem that the Jewish people built in the desert. And from next week onwards, we're going to be speaking in Vayikra about many of the korbanot, the offerings that were brought the way in which we used this Mishkan. So it still remains central to us for some time. And the Shnei Luchot HaBrit, points out that this was not in fact Hashem's original plan for creation. When Hashem created Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, the idea was not that they would go and build a home for God, but that the entire world would be a home for God. It was not that they would have special times that were holy, but that every moment would be sanctified and holy. They would not bring a korban, an offering, but they would be a korban, because every part of their life, every moment of their lives would be holy and sanctified to God. That's really how it was supposed to be. And he says that's how it will be again in the future. But for now, the Mishkan is a way of accessing that holiness that was supposed to be in every moment, no special times. The part of ourselves that we're supposed to bring close and give over to God, we do that through the korbanot. So the Sefer HaChinuch, for example, explains that this is why we don't offer chametz or syrup, dvash, on the altar. Out of all of the offerings that we bring, maybe you would think that these would be good candidates. After all, the majority of people prefer chametz to matzah. And the honey and sweetness and sugar, these are all great things. However, he says if we understand that by offering to Hashem, we are offering of ourselves. The difference between chametz and matzah is time, I could say, procrastination. Chametz is something where the dough has sat until eventually the bacteria have breathed enough CO2 into the dough that it's risen. It took a long time to get there, even if it didn't take such a long time. What's happened is you've taken everything, was all ready, you don't put it in the oven, you just leave it. That's the procrastination of the human being. We do not offer that to God. We offer God our enthusiasm and our passion and our energy and our vitality, but not our procrastination. And honey and sweetness, he says, is our desire for pleasure, is our seeking after what tastes good and what feels good. And what we offer to Hashem is not what tastes good, but what is good. The goodness within ourselves, not the little additives that you put in so that it will be attractive and sweet, what's actually healthy and nutritious and nourishing. And the Shlah says that nowadays that we are outside of the Garden of Eden, that we're at a different point in history. He says there is holiness, you could say a differential of holiness, in 3 areas. In time, in the world, and in the person. He calls it Olam, Zman, and Nefesh. Olam, I think maybe Shabbat, and Nefesh. That you have within the world, it's no longer that the whole world is holy. The whole world has potential to be sanctified, but there is a country that is more holy. That's Israel. Israel is holy, but there is a city that is more holy. That's Jerusalem. Within Jerusalem, there's a mountain that's holy. That's the Temple Mount. We live in a world where we are seeking equality, and that's a good thing, and certainly equal treatment and equal value. But things are not all the same. Before the Garden of Eden, and perhaps our endless longing for equality is a longing to be restored to that state in the Garden of Eden. But in the world in which we live, where there are these distinctions, New York and Tokyo and Moscow and Johannesburg will never be Jerusalem. Then you have Shabbat, the holiness of time. You can do amazing mitzvot every day of the week, but the other days are simply not holy in the way that Shabbat is holy. Shabbat, there is a new level of holiness that is available. And finally, he says nefesh, the soul of the human being. We would like to think that we are all equally holy, or that we are all born with equal holiness or equal potential for holiness, but it's simply not true. Different people are given different levels of holiness. That's why you have, for example, Kohen, Levi, Yisrael. There are different levels of holiness within the souls. And so that's the world of differentials. That's the world where we have to look and behave and act according to this, because we can't be all holy all the time. So there's the contrast between holy and not as holy, holy and not yet holy. Within that, we have this tension. And we therefore have a movement towards. The Garden of Eden had already arrived. Since we haven't arrived, we are moving towards holiness. We are moving towards sanctification. We are bringing the world closer to that point where it again will all be fully holy. But in the meantime, we have to deal with that back and forth, with going from not so holy to holy in time, in place, and even within people themselves. Shabbat shalom.